All right, thank you so much for joining. So I'm glad to be able to have you here. This talk is going to be a little bit different than some that you've been to. Typically, when you attend a talk, you're coming to hear about a particular topic of interest that you want to learn more about or learn about the actual speaker. And so while you will get both of those, you're also going to learn something that might not be what you expected. I'm going to introduce you to yourself. So before you prejudge this, I want you to give me a few minutes to prove it to you. The science behind what I'm going to show you is not new. It's been around since the days of Hippocrates. Social scientists have actually been working on these concepts for the last century, trying to refine them, make them more easily understood and applied by the everyday people. So there's a particular one that many people are familiar with and is extremely accurate. It boils down these concepts into 16 different letters. You can apply them and understand what your makeup is and the makeup of people. However, with 16 different letter combinations, it makes it very difficult to actually prescribe and use in a way that can be applied to everyday life. And so I am a certified facilitator of a seminar called True Colors. That's True Colors with an OU, the Canadian way. And so I'm actually going to share with you how these 4 colors are actually intertwined with who we are. It's how we are made up, and we're all a spectrum from one to the end. The 4 colors that I'll be talking about today are blue, gold, orange, and green. And so as we get into this, we're going to start with a quiz. So I'm going to need some audience participation. So don't sit back and kind of pretend you're not here. You may as well participate and get your money's worth, right? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to think on these 4 statements. You're going to select one that seems to really resonate with you. And if none of them truly resonate with you, we'll explain that as we get going. But you'll probably find that you may see yourself in a few of these. The one that really is like, oh my gosh, I totally understand that. I want you to raise your hand high, okay? I want you to hold it up because we're going to look around and understand what kind of a mix we have in the room. This is going to be really valuable as we get into the rest of the conversation. So I'm going to make this statement, and again, you're going to raise your hand high if you really feel this, if this really hits home with you. There is a place for everything, and everything has its place. Okay, I'm seeing some hands. Great. Okay, so I'm going to refer to you as my gold people. All right, you can put your hands down. Fantastic. Okay, so next, I value competency above all. Okay, I'm seeing a few direct hands. All right, put them down. Okay. Some of my friends, they are family. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of smiles, some nods. Look at those hands are going up. Okay, Great. Okay, you can put your hands down. All right, and then last, hey, as long as we're having fun, that's what matters. Okay, yes, I'm getting a little bit of a roar going on. All right, it's you guys. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so you will be my orange. Okay, everybody's having fun? You're my orange. Everybody who raised your hand for my friends or my family, hey, you're going to be my blues. And then I value competency as such a high over almost anything. That, you're going to be my greens, okay? So gold, green, blue, orange. Now, as we get going, remember your color is going to tie in. You're going to really be validating what I'm saying to the people around you. So this really is a group effort, okay? It is very audience participation here. So as we go, I want you to know that there is no right or wrong color. There is no color that needs fixing. We're all a spectrum of parts, as I mentioned. We are all of these colors. But your brightest color is going to drive you to do what you do. It's going to be the thing that really is how your brain is wired, and it actually makes you think in different patterns and different methods than if you were a bright color of another color. Now, as we are going through here, I want you to make sure that you're sensitive to the people around you, because if somebody starts laughing because it's true for them and it's not for you, you know, look at them like something must be wrong with them, because that's how they're wired. And you're going to find that a lot of people throughout the room are having the same reaction and the same response. One thing I love about this is that it brings us to the understanding of the truest form of diversity of thought. Think about that for a second. Every other type of diversity, while extremely relevant and very needed, is superficial. It's on the outside. It's what we perceive. I look at you, I see how you're dressed, I see what you look like, I see what you drive, I see your hairstyle, but that is superficial, even where we come from. I could have been born in South America, China, Maine, California, but my birthplace doesn't make me who I am. I am inside a person. I am Jessie, but who is Jessie? And when I asked you the initial question, who are you, that I'll tell you and introduce you to yourself, this is where we're going. Now, I happen to be made up of green, orange, blue, and gold. In that, I really relate to the concept of logic, the concept of patterns and puzzles. I'm a problem solver. But my orange is also very high. That's a very, an area of excitement, of adventure, of liking to be big and bold and flashy. And so that is highly influencing mine. Now my blue is much more to the bottom. That is that very compassionate, caring, the place that really feels for people and can connect on that personal level. That's much lower for me. So I have to actually reach in and pull that out when I'm working with people that are also blue. And then my gold. Your gold is very structured, very organized, making lists, having a plan, really liking that kind of routine. And that's my lowest color. That's an area that I do not naturally get to. That's an area that if I need to draw on that, I have to reach way down in my spectrum. Or what I find is much easier, go find one of my gold friends and ask them to help me out. See, that's the cool thing, is that when we understand diversity of thought in its form where I get your strengths, you get my strengths, we understand each other's weaknesses, and we can value and respect each other for who we are, not just what we look like or what we've publicly accomplished, but the actual essence of who we are. It takes us to a level where we can now build partnerships, build teams, bring in the value of what everybody offers to the table, unite that, and create something much better and much more effective and successful than we could ever do if we had single individuals of the same pattern on the team. And so as we go further, I'm going to take just a moment, and I'm going to put this up on the screen. Okay, so you see how we really have these different things that are going to speak to us in different ways. And so I'm going to start asking some questions. This is where we're going to pull on those colors that we've identified earlier. So all of my golds, where are you? My golds? Okay. Tell me about yourself, okay? Actually, I'm going to tell you about yourself. Respond to me. Let me know if this makes sense. You like to have a plan. Spontaneous changes, they bring you stress. If you're going to plan a vacation, it's not a tomorrow or next week. You're planning 6 months, a year down the road, right? Oh, and you love your list. You make a list for everything. Yep, look at that. Yes, that has a lot of sense. You're smiling, I can tell, because it's true. Not only do you make lists, but you keep calendars. Oh, and the most satisfying feeling is when you get to check that off. A task done, accomplished. Let me guess, not only do you make lists, but you actually put something on your list that you've accomplished, even if you've already done it. If it wasn't there before, yes. You want that sense of completeness. Yes. So the neat thing about goals is it's that detail-oriented, very detail-oriented. You'd like to have the complete picture of all of the details in the line. So when we move to green, however, where are my greens? Okay. You like detail too, but not too much of it. Yeah, too much detail will really stress out a green. So if you're a gold working with a green and you come in and you feel like you're giving them all the information and they're really not responding to you, you may be working with a green who just checked out after about the first few sentences. And so there's a way to address that. You see, a green is looking for detail. They really value detail at the level that they feel is necessary for them. So when a green looks at detail, they're looking at it from the 10,000-foot view. So what they want to know is, what are those key points that are going to drive decision-making? And then the rest of the detail, that can be worked out by someone else, right? All right? Okay, yes. So greens also are looking at putting together those pictures. Greens are really good at context clues, right? So you don't need all of the detail. You need a piece here, piece here, piece here, and you're just going to weave that puzzle together in your mind. Sometimes you want to take that time to really think it through. Other times it just comes, those pieces come together, and you understand. So I actually have a few pictures in the book, Code by Design, that give you an actual visual of the different in the thought process of the detail for gold and green. It's going to allow you to really understand how that works. So when it comes to green, another thing that really hold high, as I mentioned before, is that level of just excellence, so competency. Now, they are extremely expectant of somebody to be competent if that's their job. Because somebody comes in and says, I'm a plumber, and they're coming to fix the pipes or the faucet. That better be done and done well, because otherwise the green will lose all confidence in the competency of that plumber. They hold it to a very high standard. However, they never hold someone else to a higher standard than they hold themselves. Is that true? A lot of nods. You see, they also have a place for grace for people who are learning. So if you come in and you say, this is my first day on the job, or, I'm in training, they have grace for mistakes. But when you come in with an expectation, this is my job, I know what I'm doing, they will expect it will be done right. As a green myself, I definitely have to be intentional when I'm giving somebody the benefit of the doubt, because, I'm expecting such a high level of competence that a mistake I have to take back and say, there's probably a good reason for that, and maybe they aren't at the level of proficiency that I thought they were, and let me have grace for that. And so as we kind of understand what our strengths are, there's also potential for shadows, and so that's the area that maybe, while in some certain circumstances that can be a strength, in others, if used not quite with enough sensitivity, could come across in a slightly not as positive way to others. So, all right, for my blues, now you're very connected, as I mentioned before. And so one of the things that you'll find is that when somebody is hurting, you literally want to cry with them, yeah? But you also have the ability to really rejoice with people when they're celebrating. And a blue, you're always first to help out, to volunteer. You've probably taken in small animals at times, yes? Okay. But one of the areas that's very interesting as a blue is that you will continue to pour out until somebody does you wrong. Oh, but you'll forgive them, and you'll move on, and it'll be okay until they do you wrong again. And you'll forgive them again, because maybe they were having a bad day. But they do wrong a third time, oh, and it's no blue for you. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. There are people you've probably written off. As a matter of fact, how Blue said that some people that are their friends or their family, they have some family that are blood that aren't their family. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Yes. See, for a Blue, it's a contextual thing and not, it's a relationship thing and not a contextual thing. So it's really more about that relationship. Do we have that relationship? Because it doesn't matter what the formality of the official relationship is, because if there's no chemistry here, if we're not feeling it, yeah, you might not be in family. So when it comes to the orange, and I know I left you for last, which is absolutely horrible because orange loves to go first. I know, I see you. It's true. Orange, they love to be out in front. They love to go first. It's kind of the whole competitive thing. Any competitive spirits in here? All right. Yes, I hear you from here. Oranges also like to talk. So I can probably guess that at least a good percentage of you have gotten in trouble over the years in school or other times for talking out of turn, talking too much. You just can't seem to kind of keep it down, right? Mm-hmm. My orange that likes to kind of rear up quite often, I understand that, I do. As a matter of fact, it's kind of neat because some people have said that their colors have changed over time. And you hear that. And some of you have maybe taken an assessment that deals in color that you may have thought the same thing. Let me pose this to you, okay? We are actually wired in such a way that this is who we are and how we're designed. Now, as I said earlier, able to reach into different colors and pull those out when we need them. Another thing, however, that is very interesting is that when we consider our circumstances, our environments, the areas where we have to pull those colors out, they could potentially influence us to use colors that maybe aren't our brightest color in such a way that it makes us think that, oh, because I'm using this so much, it must be color. Even though if we dig down deep, it still does not align with our strongest needs. An example of this would be myself when I was young. So I was very adventurous, still am, but I would go out exploring for hours and hours at a time. I would jump whatever kind of ledges I could find. I was very, I won't say rebellious, but I like to push the limit. Oranges are famous for pushing the limit. And so one of the struggles I had was that all the areas that oranges tend to get into trouble, I was experiencing most of that. Not because I was trying to be a bad kid, I just had this level of I need to go and push the limit to see more and do more, and how far can I go without really getting hurt and all of that. And so I looked very, very orange, but I was still green first. Now, the interesting thing about green is because of the logic, because of how it puts pieces together and builds things and creates things, and it has to have a purpose to do all those things. But as a child, your purposes are more fluid, limited to what you actually have impact and the ability to do, which was actually a stressor to me because I wanted to be taken seriously in the world. I wanted to build things, have businesses, trade in the stock market, but I was 12 and nobody would take me seriously. So I defaulted to my orange and I went out and had fun since I couldn't employ my green to the extent of my satisfaction. So my green got tucked away and held for a later time when I could actually start to bring it out and use it, and eventually, employed it as a business analyst and did very, very well with it. And of course, my green was always right there alongside. And let's go do something bigger. Let's go build something bigger. But you can see how that color was. It wasn't changed. They didn't switch places. It was just the opportunity to use my brightest color was minimized, which allowed my second color to kind of come up and fill in the gap until the opportunity arose for my brightest color to really shine. One of the greatest times that people think that maybe their colors have changed places is in the days of college. So if you think about the atmosphere of college, though, it really brings out maybe not the who you are, but the who you hope you can be, want to be, or couldn't be at home, right? It's your first opportunity to be on your own, to kind of explore and figure out who you are. And at this point, we're all trying to figure out who we are. Heck, some of us are still trying to figure out who we are. But as we discover our talents, the areas that we have greatest joys, it's eventually going to lead us back to the truth of who we really are. And so these are just some of the concepts that I have actually mentioned in my book, Color by Design. But one of the pieces here that's interesting is that where you fit on the color spectrum is actually going to kind of determine or determined by the level of risk that you're willing to take, the level of relationship and depth that you're willing to go in your relationship. The orange and blue are both people-driven colors, whereas green and gold are both process-driven colors. And so what that means is that when an orange is being their orange, then they're really focused on the people in their life, and process is really kind of secondary. Whereas a green is really focused on the process and how effective things are and whether they're getting the outcomes they want, and the people are really secondary. Blue, very people-oriented. Your gold, very process-oriented. And so when you think about a project, when you're trying to accomplish a mission, one of the questions I ask at the end of my workshop, and I'm sure I'm going to go ahead and give it away, so when you do take the workshop, you'll know the answer, you'll be able to cheat on that, is if you're going to accomplish a particular mission, I'm going to give you a scenario during the workshop, what color do you put in charge? And so I'm sure a few of you are thinking, well, that would depend on the mission. That would depend on the project, right? So the scenario that I give, it changes occasionally depending on the group that I'm speaking with. But the answer for every scenario is all of them. Now, of course, you don't need to necessarily put all of them as the head charge, but if you don't have each color involved in a particular capacity on the project or mission, you're going to miss a piece. You're not going to have the level of success and the level of outcome that you could have if you integrate this diversity into one unit. The idea of really truly understanding your colors draws you to the conclusion that through the unity of all colors working together, you have the best outcome. You have the greatest success. You build the greatest things, and greatest isn't always biggest. You know, Albert Einstein said that it takes a fool can build something that's bigger and more complex, but it takes courage to go the other direction. And I cut out a few words there, but essentially, it's not about big necessarily, but it's about best. And so when we draw in the ideas, the thought process, and the perspective from all these different colors, your orange is going to bring the value of that ability to change on a dime. They have that spontaneity that they can see outside of the box. They live outside of the box. So if you want a perspective that you've never heard, never seen before, bring an orange in. That's so valuable. Your green is going to be able to put the pieces together. They're going to see how it all fits together. Almost every project or every mission is going to tie to different things. And when it does, you're going to need somebody who can see every single one of those connections, because you don't want those parts, something changing over here that affects something over here, but everybody's looking this direction so they don't realize that it affects this. But your green's going to come in and say, well, wait a minute, this downstream affects this, and this over here touches that. So we need to make sure that all of this is evaluated before we come out with our best decision. Then your blue is your people. If you get a bunch of process people in the room and something requires people to change, either their processes or their alignment, your blue is going to be able to come in and really drive those changes. They're going to be able to say, I understand how people change and what people need, and I'm going to help you through what people need to be able to do this and be able to accept it in a way that's meaningful.